Hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. I bring to you an incredible changemaker who is just living the life that she creates for other people by helping them to get better at what they're doing. She's invented an amazing training that supports not only PAs and VAs and EAs to really perfect what they're doing so they can do a better job for people like you, but she can also help you as well. Welcome to the show, Miss Shelley Fishel. Hello.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Now, you're dialing in, not from the UK today, are you? Where are you dialing in from?
No, I'm based in a seaside resort called Netanya in Israel. You can't see out my window. Well, actually out that window there, because this is my office studio, is a football pitch where kids play football all day, kind of after school activities, and they actually play football at the weekends. And out the other window, the front, we have a view of the Mediterranean, and it's fabulous.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Well, how did you end up there? Because you haven't always been there, have you?
No, I lived here as a child from the age of 11 to the age of 21. That's a very long story, which I don't have time to tell now. But I ended up here aged 11 with my family. And they all went back to the UK back in 1977. So I came here in 1970. They went back in 77 because my father was very ill. And I stayed on. And in 1980, I met my husband and famously said, I'm not going back to the UK, I'm staying here. Wasn't in his game plan at the time, and I ended up toddling off back to the UK a few months after we met. We got married, and 39 years later, I dragged him back. So I've ended up where I always intended to be.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you, I mean, because you've done a lot of things in your lifetime, haven't you? Guys and girls, come and say hello to Shelley and come and introduce yourselves as well. You never know who could be looking at the comment thread. So let us know what it is you do and where you're from. And I'd love to know what part of the world you're from as well, because we're coming to you live from the UK and Israel today.
International, global. You said global.
Yes, global. Yes, yeah. This is Global Changemaker time. So, Shelley, tell us about some of the things that you've experienced in your business as you've been growing your business, and for yourself and for other people as well. What would you say are some of the biggest pitfalls that you've experienced as you've been growing your businesses?
I think the first biggest mistake I made, or a mistake, I don't know if it's the biggest one, but a mistake, is not researching enough. I know that I've had a face-to-face training business, and that was fine. That was corporate. It kind of worked by itself. I knew what I was doing because that was where I came from, the kind of training in business. And then I set up the first iteration of my online business. And I made the mistake of creating courses that I thought people wanted. And I didn't find out whether they wanted them first. And so I spent all this effort creating them and bought into an expensive learning management system because this was 2011. So there weren't the plethora of systems that there are now. And of course, I never sold anything because A, I probably hadn't created what people wanted. And B, I hadn't got the foggiest idea what I was doing. So I've learned a lot since then. I repeated the experience a couple of years later with my own hosting, changed my branding around, played around with all sorts of things, thought I had a good thing. But again, I didn't know the first thing about sales and marketing. And so as much content creation as you can do and as great as you are at your job, if you don't know how to sell yourself, it's not kind of, it was the kind of like, build it and they will come. It doesn't quite work like that in the real world, though.
No, it doesn't. And as you're saying things, I'm typing banners getting them onto the screen, because there's so many lessons, and I'm sure maybe you watching this from wherever you are at home or in the office, wherever you are in the world watching this show right now or listening in, maybe you've experienced some of those things as well. You know, one of the biggest things that I see entrepreneurs making as a massive mistake, like you say, is not researching. You know, it's kind of, in this day and age, there's no excuse for it, is there? Way back when we will have started, we didn't have tools like answerthepublic.com and Google Analytics to be able to do our keyword research and Google Trends to find out what are people searching for, but what time of day, what time of week, what time of month, what time of the year are they searching for the thing you're providing. And I see so many people, they launch things and they launch them at the wrong time. So they launch the right thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the right time, because they haven't done that research. So research. One of the biggest things. And like you say, sales and marketing, actually, it doesn't matter what business you're in. You as the entrepreneur and the owner of the business, you're a salesperson.
Exactly. The other thing that it's kind of brought to mind, apart from the research, is I know something that you're very big on, and that is finding your niche. And up until Tomorrow's VA, which focuses on VAs because it's in the name, I was a very generic Microsoft Office trainer. And I only, I had basic, intermediate, advanced courses for the packages. And I really didn't stand out above all the noise. And because I chose to focus, after having done a lot of research on the VA market, although the kind of light bulb moment was when I realized I actually did have a niche. I was sitting there thinking, well, who is my niche? What's my niche? Well, I've spoken at the PA show, and I've spoken at Office, and I've spoken for Hemsley Fraser. They're all PAs and VAs and EA. Oh, well, that's my niche. Kind of, But once I found my niche, or it found me, it was much, much easier to design courses for that niche, because I don't do the generic basic, intermediate, advanced anymore. I do very specific task-based or outcome-based courses. So it's just easier, makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many trainers, consultants, coaches, mentors out there. I think there's a lot of people who are actually scared of niching, aren't they? Because they worry. I get this all the time, but what if I focus just on women? What about all those men out there that need what I want? Well, but there's 3 billion women or something on the planet. Like, is that not enough?
Well, wouldn't it be nice to sell 3 billion courses? Whoa.
Marie Diamond from The Secret, when I interviewed her a few weeks ago, she was saying that she ended up at this event, and she was sat next to this guy who at the time had the only online training company pretty much in the world, because we were going back like 20 years ago or something, so when the internet was first coming about. And so this must have been about 15 years ago, and so she says, yeah, I'll get my course on your platform, wanting to support him. And then they went on to sell over 500,000 courses.
Oh my goodness.
Course. And she said, it was just unbelievable, because she'd never focused on the money. She'd only ever focused on the impact, and she forgot that actually when you impact a lot of people, a lot of income follows through with that. And she had never even thought about the impact that would have on her. Actually, we still wouldn't be lovely to have $1 million business, but when you've got one, how do you know what you're going to feel like?
Well, you can imagine what you're going to feel like. Yeah, no, it's a dream at the moment. It's still a dream.
Nice problem to have, though, isn't it? So, Shelley, tell us about your vision for what it is that you're doing, because you've kind of your niche has kind of found you, hasn't it? It's almost like it's chased you, like a little Pac-Man. Like, I'm here. Come and get me. Come and get me. You're getting it.
Yeah, I really want to help VAs get better at what they do. Over my time in business, I've worked with a few VAs, and I've trained them. So they've learned from me as I'll ask them to do something, they'll go off to do it, and I'll notice that it's taking them twice as long, 3 times as long, or they don't know a shortcut, or there might be a better way of doing it. So I've always given them access to my training courses, and they consistently tell me they're learning stuff. And that's kind of where it comes from. I think when you're a trainer, you're a naturally helpful person. You just want to help people. That's what teachers do. And, the definition of it, would you do it if you didn't get paid for it? Well, probably yes. Nice to get paid. I'd like to get paid more, but, I wouldn't stop helping people. So I think that's kind of, I just want to help them. And, to the extent that I've launched my own podcast a few weeks ago, which is doing really well. With the aim of helping VAs grow their business. So interviewing guest experts like yourself and other experts in different niches to help them learn what they can do to raise themselves above. So, yeah, it's good fun.
What would you say is the what's out of all the things that you do, what is the thing that gives you the most joy?
At the moment, I think it's the podcast, actually. I think maybe I should have been a radio host in another life.
Well, you've got a voice for it. You've got an amazing voice.
But I'm really enjoying interviewing all these people, and I'm learning stuff as well. Yeah. I love it when every day I learn something. It might be something really tiny, but it's something. And I love it. I've just finished creating a mammoth course. So it's a bit of relief. I've actually half taken the day off today because I was just too exhausted. But that's the beauty of it when you work for yourself. If you do feel like that, you can take half a day off if you want to, or a day off, or whatever it is. And then I was looking at my calendar thinking, I've not much in the calendar tomorrow, but I'm recording 2 podcast interviews tomorrow. So that's tomorrow, gone and done. So but it's fun. It's fun. I think the minute it stops being fun, it's time to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I certainly found with my agency. And actually, it was only when I realized it wasn't fun anymore that I realized how burned out I was. Yeah. Have you ever been through that burnout feeling, Shelley? Has that ever been something that's happened to you?
I think when I was working for the training company I was working for, and that's not to rubbish the company, because they were a fabulous, and still are, they're still in business, and they are a fabulous company. But I think it got to the point where I wanted to choose how many days I worked. I wanted to choose which clients I went to. If they wanted me to go somewhere out of London, because I was based in London, maybe I didn't want to go. And it was that kind of stuff. And then it began to feel... I loved what I did, but it began to feel resentful. So I think that's kind of, and I always put my all into it. And when you put your all into something and somebody else is reaping the rewards, after a while, that kind of starts to play as well. I'm putting in all this effort, but what am I getting out of it?
Building someone else's dream. You know, I've had a few people that have joined the brand. We've got a brand new membership. We've got a light version of the Brand Builders Club membership that we launched last week. And I've had a couple of people that have joined that they're saying, that they feel like, even though they've got their own business and they've been doing it for a long time, in the training and consulting industries and coaching industries, even though they've been doing that for a long time, they actually feel like their businesses haven't grown because they've put so much focus on their clients' businesses that every time they took another client on, they went back in the priority list. And I know exactly how that feels, because that is the same thing that happened to me. And it was only until, and I know you'll get this, Shelley, it was only until I started actually creating my own courses, and instead of being one-to-one in front of a client, is kind of breaking that process down and turning it into a journey that somebody could access no matter where they are, from wherever they are. As long as they've got internet connection, they can utilize it. And it was that kind of tipping point when I realized, hang on a minute, I've got 18 grand a month coming in, and I'm working with 18 people, but they're all going at a different level, and they're all doing it online themselves. And this is crazy, like, how is this even possible? Why didn't I think about doing this before? And there I am, I'd gone from 23.5 grand a month worth of fixed costs to 50 euros a month. Give my mum and dad 50 euros a month for their holiday cottage out of season. And I just thought, wow, You know, why? I think it's because we don't lift our heads up, you know, and I think being part of a mastermind or somewhere where other businesses like you, they're on the outside of it, so they're not as emotionally attached to it as you are. I wish someone had been telling me, giving me feedback.
Yeah, I mean, today, as a case in point, I launched this big course on Sunday. I've kind of taken the foot off the pedal. I've promoted it a little bit, but not a huge amount. And then this afternoon, on my few hours off, I went to the supermarket. And as I drove into the supermarket and parked the car, my phone binged. I'd made a sale. And I get such a kick when somebody buys something and I'm at the supermarket or gone for a walk on the promenade. Yeah. Something and I know that they're going to get so much benefit from that, and it doesn't matter where I am, and it's, you're right, it's that time for money exchange which can help you burn out, because there are only so many hours in a day and days in a week that you can work.
Absolutely.
And this way you've got more options of affecting more people, or impact, to use your word.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that I really love, because there's so many things I love about what you do, one of the things that I love so much about what you do for the clients you work with, so your VAs, your PAs, your EAs, you know, if they're doing things the hard way, they're not going to get those opportunities for the trips to the supermarket, for sitting down with their family in front of the television, taking the dogs for a walk at, you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon while everybody's at work. They're not getting that opportunity. But then you come along with your training, and you brought that technology, you brought the training together, and you give it to them in a pure kind of English here, like real, what's the word? Plain English.
Plain English, yeah.
Yes, so they can understand it, they can implement those things, and it means that actually they can achieve probably 2 or 3 times the amount of productivity, if not more, than they were able to before. So if they're working for somebody and they've got an agenda of what they've got, I mean, they might be able to achieve that in 2 or 3 hours in a day instead of 8 or 9 hours.
Well, my tagline is get more done in less time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm all about helping people get more done, because there's 2 outcomes to that. One is they get more done. So okay, so maybe if they were going to charge an hour, they would be charging half an hour, but they've now got half an hour to spend on another client and do something else. Also, it means that the quality of their work is higher, so they get more referrals because their clients say, oh, I've got this fabulous VA, and then they can charge more. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. And I think with training, people often don't see that the investment in the course, what they're going to get out of it at the end. I know. I think we've all been there. Do I really want to pay that much for the course?
Right.
But, where am I going to get to at the end of it? But really, I mean, I know, because the testimonials tell me that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I think when, you know, it's that classic thing, isn't it? There's still people, you know, for those of you that are watching, I'm sure you don't do this because, you know, of the field that we're all in, but there are people that look at everything as a cost, and there are people that look at everything as an opportunity. And those people that look at costs, usually they grow their business very slowly, if it grows at all, because they're building their business from a place of lack usually, or a place of you know, scarcity. But then you've got those people that say, okay, well, I'm asking myself not what does it cost me, but what is it costing me not to have it? And then you've got those people, they're the ones that just go boom, because they realize the value of it. It's kind of like those of you watching this now, if you've bought cheap toilet roll, you'll know. You just know. I don't have to say anything else. It's you know, you just end up going and buying more, don't you? Viola, hello, good morning. Well, no, good afternoon. It's good afternoon.
Hello.
I saw Viola this morning on the Brand Builders Club light call. And it is lovely to see you again, Viola. So, Shelley, what would you say is like, have you got 3 tips for entrepreneurs on how they can be more effective? I know that you work with VAs and EAs, but effectively they're still entrepreneurs. So what are 3 things our viewers and listeners can do immediately to create more productivity in their day?
Well, I think it's about having a plan, knowing where you want to get to. I think that's key, knowing where you want to get to, and then working out how you're going to get there. It sounds easy, it's not, but anyway. And having a plan, working out how you're going to get there, and asking for help. You can't do everything by yourself. It's just not possible. You will burn out much quicker. So whether that's joining a mastermind group, whether it's 3 friends over coffee or virtual coffee as it is at the moment, or whatever it might be, but ask for help. And also, I've always worked from the point of abundance. So there's enough work around there for everyone, and we're not all going to suit every person. So this person is going to think I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and that person's going to hate me. So that's just life. So it's very, as a trainer, it's a really hard lesson, because when you do training and you've got a group of people in the room, and you do the happy sheets at the end of the day, and you've got 9 wonderful ones and 1 not so wonderful one, the one you focus on is the one not the wonderful one. And it's hard to learn not to do that, but you can't focus on that. You have to focus on the positive ones. So I think that would be it. Have a plan, have a vision, know what you want to achieve, and work out how to do it. But ask for help. I think asking for help from anywhere, really. Yeah. I did a course with Michael Neal. I was on his original Creating the Impossible, the very first one he ever did. And that was phenomenal. And he doesn't do it I did it again this year, but it's different to how it was, obviously, because it's iterative. But in that first one of the tasks we had to do was ask for help 100 times a day. Make 100 requests. Now, he said you won't always make 100 requests, but the point was to get in the habit of making those requests for help. Whether that's make me a cup of tea, please, even as something as hi, Sharon, even something as simple as please make me a cup of tea is getting you in the habit of asking for help. And I'm part of a hugely supportive community of trainers, and we help each other all the time. And I think that is just one of the best things.
Yeah, you've got to surround yourself with other people who are on the same journey as you. I can't remember when it was that I said it. I've said it recently, though. My mum bought me a cup, and it had, how can I fly like an eagle when I'm surrounded by turkeys?
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I several years ago, many years ago, I did go through a period where I was depressed. And one of the things that I learned from that was that I had to get rid of the drains in my life. So not spend as much time with some people who really drained and sapped my energy, because I was the one propping them up all the time, because you can't always be the prop. You sometimes need propping up yourself. And I think that's kind of exactly that. You can't fly if you're surrounded by, like an eagle, if you're surrounded by, I love that.
I know, I've never seen it anywhere else. It was just on this mug. But I think that's a really important point, and for those of you that are in the coaching, training, mentoring industry, consultancy industry, like how many of you are actually? It'd be great to know, like, would you consider yourself to be somebody who's in those industries? Because I certainly do. But what I've found, Shelley, and I don't know if you've found this as well, and I don't know if it really applies to your market as much as it does with me, but most of the time in the world of transformation, we are the result of what we're then training others to do. So what happens is, and I see this happen all the time, I've certainly experienced it myself, is you get to a certain point where people are asking you, how have you done that? Like, come and teach us how you've done that. And so you're up here, and these people that you're going back to support, they're back here. I'm not saying they're below you, but they're back here, right? So then you go and spend all your time around those people because you're training them and you're supporting them. And what happens is you then end up going back to that because you're, certainly from a place of income. I mean, they say that you earn the sum of the 5, you won't earn any more than the top earner of the 5 people that you spend your time with. You know, I don't know whether that's an energetic thing or whatever, but I certainly have experienced that. So it's so important, you know, and I know I invest in myself at the highest levels. Sharon, who's on here, we met because we were investing in ourselves at the highest level. And I met you because you were on one of Sharon's events, which was awesome. Was it last Friday or the Friday before? The time has gone.
So it seems like yesterday, to be honest. It was a brilliant, really brilliant event.
That's why you've got to surround yourself with other people who are, you know, way ahead, people that are on the same journey, and then those people who need that help, you know, to pay it forward to them, to help them go up there. So it's so important that we nurture ourselves at the same time. What would you say is a key kind of factor that we need to take into consideration when we're investing in ourselves? Like, have you got any kind of criteria if you're thinking about investing in something? What's that process that you go through?
I'm a very impulsive person. My husband says I'm a very impatient person. So, impatient, impulsive.
I would say that.
Probably the same thing. I think I'll see something, and if it resonates and I think it's really going to help me, then I'll go for it. So I think that I don't think I have a process as such. It's got to speak to me. So when I saw Michael Neal's program again this year for creating the impossible, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that again because it was so great. In fact, that was the 3rd time I'd done it. Actually, it was the 3rd. I did it first, and then I did it the following year, and then I decided to do it this year. I have to admit, I fell off the wagon this year. I didn't quite complete it, but it was during all the lockdown. Everything was going on, and I think everybody's allowed to have a bit of a wobble during all of that was going on, and life gets busy as well.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, we've had quite a lot of confessions now in the last nearly 6 months that we've been running the show every day, almost nearly every day we've gone live. You know, there are so many things that people have learned from as they've gone through this whole business journey. But one of those things that come top of the list that are mentioned pretty much in every show is always about, you know, when you're building your dream with a team, is just, you know, do your due diligence before you start investing in things. Do your due diligence. Shelley, has there been a nightmare time in your business where you can think, oh my God, I'd never handle it like that again?
Well, when I went online for the second time, so my business was called, my face-to-face business was called the IT Training Surgery. So when I went online, that was the IT Training Surgery online. When that didn't work, I rebranded it all and I became My Ollie, which stood for My Online Learning Library. And it had a really nice logo and a nice icon, and it was all very pretty and what have you, but it didn't work. But the reason it didn't work because I didn't know anything about putting it out there, I wasn't creating the right content, all of those things I've already mentioned. But the real nightmare scenario was I had a web developer build the website. And we hosted everything. I think it was locked. The videos were all in Vimeo, locked up. But the website itself, it started with Vatmos. And every single thing was another development cost. So the developer needed another £300, another £200, another £500. And I wasn't selling anything. And that was draining. And then I was here on holiday in Israel. We were here. And I got a frantic message from the developer saying somebody has hacked the site and they've sent 1 million messages via the server. I said, you know what, Graham, that is the universe telling me to kill it. So I did. I told him take it offline immediately. So we stopped. And it took me quite a number of years until I got back to thinking, no, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do tomorrow's VA, but I'm going to niche it this time. And I did a lot of research this time I spoke to industry experts, VA experts, asked them whether they felt it was the right thing for their communities. They all jumped at it and said, yes, please do it. They even put surveys out for me to their communities. I even found out what people would pay for it up front. So all of those things.
So it was so in flow.
Yeah, but I think I couldn't get there without having gone through other things.
Yeah.
When I was interviewed for the training company that I worked for, one of the questions at the interview was, are you able to reinvent yourself? Which I thought was a really clever question. And my comeback answer very quickly was, of course, because we are forever reinventing ourselves. You go from being a child to a teenager, from a teenager to a young adult, to a single to a married, parent, now grandparent. So you're forever reinventing who you are. So I just thought it was a really clever interview question.
That is a brilliant question. Oh, I typed it and then I didn't put it on the screen. Are you able to reinvent yourself? Yeah. I mean, that's a brilliant question. Excuse me, that it's just started pouring with rain and our ceiling of the boat was pretty much open. So the heavens have opened. So you might hear the window going across. I don't know if you can hear that. That's the beauty of being on a boat, is you sound like you're in a tin can when it rains.
Well, I can't hear it from Israel anyway. So
what would you say then, if there are entrepreneurs that are going through their business journey and they're starting to invest in some technology? Now, the training that you provide is very much for VAs, PAs, people who are supporting the entrepreneurs to do it. But what if an entrepreneur is doing it themselves? What would you advise them technology wise to help start managing their diary and their productivity while they're working?
Well, I would always suggest, even if you're going to outsource any kind of work, whatever that work would be, whether that's managing your diary or sending your emails or writing your proposals or any of those things, you need to know how to do it yourself first. Because how the heck can you give good instructions to the person that you want to do it if you don't understand what you're asking them to do? So if you're asking somebody to, I don't know, set up a recurring meeting in their diary, but you don't know whether that's a 5-minute job or a half an hour job unless you've done it yourself. And then when that person charges you for an amount of time that you think is, well, it can't have possibly taken that long, then your relationship can get damaged that way. So I think that you need to know how to do things yourself, at least at a superficial level, so that you can give good. There's something I've learned myself that I use Active Campaign, for example, to manage my email list. And I've recently been learning Active Campaign because I realized I was asking my VA to do something, but maybe and she wasn't doing what I wanted. So I thought, well, maybe I'm not giving the right instructions. And so I think that's really important, is to understand what you're doing so you can give good instructions.
And how have you found it? Obviously, you're in Israel, you're building your dream, you're creating courses, you're impacting lots and lots of people without you having to leave your office. What would be one of the key things that you would suggest is like the first thing to do? So you've set up in business. This is the first thing that you should do. If I could do it all again, here's what I would do first.
Oh, what would I do first? That's like, how would you reinvent yourself? That's a tough question. What would I do first? I think I'd really have to have a good vision. I think I'd have to know my vision. I wouldn't necessarily know how I was going to get there, but I'd have to have a vision of what I want to do. And I mean, I know how many of my hub, which has all my courses in it, I ultimately want to sell, want people to invest in. I'm nowhere ever near that yet, but I haven't lost sight of it. And also breaking it down. So I remember seeing a poster of another online person, he'd found it somewhere else, and breaking down, if your product is X, how many do you need to sell to make Y? So if you want, if your product is £100 and you sell 10, you've made 1,000. But if you sold 100, and my brain's gone, but you get the idea. So I'm very good at teaching basic Excel. I'm hopeless at doing maths in my head. So that's why partly why I married an accountant. I'm married to an accountant. He can do the maths. I outsource it.
Good, very good. You know, it's one of my friends, Jane Mallion, and our Brown Builders Club members will remember, if they were at this event, they will remember Auntie Jane, we call her. And one of the things that she said, which resonated with me forever, was, you know, we as entrepreneurs, we can get really caught up in how, but how do I do it? How? She said, but if you just change those 3 letters, it's the same 3 letters, and all you got to do is change them to who.
Yeah.
Because there's always someone who knows exactly how to do it, and it comes to your asking, for help 100 times a day.
Yeah.
Just asking for help. You know, even if that's asking Google for help, by the way.
Yeah,
that's why people ask me something. I just go straight to Google. I get the answer and I post it for them. I go, thank you. And I'm like, they could have done that, but they didn't think to do it. Google is your friend. You can ask it 100 times a day. It's not going to judge you.
It's not going to, and it won't stop answering either. I tell you, one of the things that I did learn in the last couple of years from somebody else, and that was that a site called Uber Suggest. So if you mentioned before about researching we couldn't research keywords back in the day, but you can now. So a brilliant site for doing that is Neil Patel's Uber Suggest. You type in your keyword and it tells you how many times it's being looked for, associated phrases. You can do all sorts of research in that, and that's very useful. That's a really useful site.
I'm going to put some of those down here, actually. So because for those of you that weren't here at the beginning of the call, we talked about a number of different resources you can use to find out what people are actually searching for. We did it on our last Members Day training, actually. We talked about 5 of the key keyword search tools and trend search tools. And there's also many things you can be using for free. But then you'll be launching the right thing in the right way to the right person, using the right language at the right time, at the right price. Because that bit of research just makes all the difference in what you're doing. So I love Google Trends as well. I'm really a fan of Google Trends, because once you've done your keyword research, you want to find out how many people are searching for that and at what time of year, and compare it against another keyword as well. And it could be a phrase. It doesn't have to be a keyword. It could be a phrase as well. But for those of you watching, if you're not using these tools that I've again typed and not put on the screen, there you go. My brain and my finger don't seem to be connecting today.
It's okay. It's the rain. It's the rain.
Yeah, something in the air. Just start using some of these tools, because they are your friend. They're your friend, just like Google is your friend. Where is it that you talked about vision? As we start to wrap up this interview, what is your vision? Like, if we could all channel our energy into you achieving the vision that you believe that you were put on this planet to see happen, like, talk to us about that vision that you have.
I really want to help as many VAs as possible get better at what they can do. And along the way, if I can help other small business owners as well, that's an added bonus, because what I do can help anybody. And most people, not everybody, because you've got people using G Suite, you've got people using the Apple products, but anybody that's using Microsoft 365, I can help them and really take the pain out of what they're doing. And that's what I really want to do. And along the way, if it enables me to help my kids get on the property ladder and do those kind of things, holidays for the grandchildren, all of those things are added bonuses to doing that. And that's kind of really, that's really it. I mean, that's the vision. The vision is to be the known person in specifically that niche, and that's starting to happen. So it's quite exciting that people say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of you." Yeah.
It's only going to get bigger and better. And I mean, you've got the right team behind you packing your parachute. You're part of the Trainer Talk network, which is an incredible network. And I'd highly recommend, guys and girls, if you are a trainer consultant, a speaker, a mentor, a coach, go and look up Sharon Gaskin's Trainer Talk, and she runs an amazing event that Shelley and I met at either last week or the week before, because time is flying, called Trainer Talk Live, and there's another one in September. So get yourself to Trainer Talk Live, because people like us are hanging around there. We're hanging around in that environment, supporting each other, and really being the backbone of some of the most challenging questions and issues that are happening in the training industry, none more so than we've just been through COVID. And I wasn't part of the community at that point, but I saw how Sharon totally ramped up the amount of support. I saw what she was doing, and the results of that were totally evident at Trainer Talk Live. You could see just how much everybody had really stepped in and really helped each other, because the bottom fell out of the training industry completely, and so many people lost all of their speaking contracts, lost future work, and all kinds of challenging situations have happened. And so you've got to be surrounded by the right people. Sharon says, in fact, I'm going to put this on the screen. Shelley is one of the most helpful and knowledgeable people I know. She is amazing. Well, I think that's quite evident to see. This is
I wanted to pick up something that you said before. What would I do? What would be the first thing I would do? And actually making me think, seeing Sharon here as well. I worked with Sharon as a mentor for a while. One-to-one coaching. I had a whole day in order to flesh out what I wanted to do and how to charge for it, and all those kind of things that you don't know when you start out. But thinking back, I've actually had coaches right from the beginning. So I've worked with somebody to help me refine that. Actually, 3 other people apart from Sharon. So I think that would be the thing that makes the biggest impact, is to find somebody that you can connect with, that can support you, because you can't do it by yourself. Yeah. And you said before, like, you're so in it that you are so worked up with the day-to-day running of a business, you can't always see what the next step is.
You can't see past the end of your nose, can you, sometimes? And it's always helpful to have somebody else who's in the same industry as you. Sharon and I, we're always, like, can we jump on a call? Because we have very similar businesses. And it just helps to be able to see someone else doing it, or just to share with you and say, well, look, here's what I did when that happened, or, oh gosh, if you keep doing it that way, here's what happened to me. So you might end up going down that same route. Here's how I suggest you avoid it. And it's just so powerful having that network around you to do that. Let's have a look here. Sharon says, made for this moment. Yeah, absolutely. You can't do everything yourself. So important to get support. Shelley, thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. It's wonderful to meet you. It's been a pleasure and an honor to get to know more about you and your business. And I very much look forward to following your journey. Let's get you back on the show in a few months and see, what did Shelley do next?
We'll see. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm finding I'm loving doing this more and more. So if anybody else wants a guest on a podcast, I'm your person.
Absolutely. Reach out to Shelley. Who do you know that needs a guest to support their audience in really building that brand they want to see in the world? Shelley, thank you so much. Thank you, guys and girls, for tuning in today. I will be back on Thursday. We're having a break tomorrow. We've got some serious training happening at Brand Builders Club headquarters, because I'm making lots of mini courses and we're writing more books, and there's lots of stuff going on. So we're having a break tomorrow. We will be back on Thursday, live at 5, same place that you're looking at, because we're live via 5 channels right now. So wherever you're watching us from, come back and we'll look forward to seeing you there. And if you haven't been on the show yet, do please reach out to me. I would love to feature you and get you in front of our audiences. So take care. Have an amazing evening. For those of you in Brand Builders Club, if you want to hang out with Aline de Graaf at 7 p.m. this evening, she's on the usual Brand Builders Club Zoom link, and she is talking about Instagram. So if Instagram is something that you really, really want to hone in on, she's running an Instagram surgery from 7 till 8 p.m. this evening. So take care. And I will look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Thanks, Shelley. Lots of love.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.